Hi guys and girls, I'm Karel from the Story Department, and in this video we're going to go back to our live stream, at least log lines that we didn't review in that live stream. So Near Shelter will be with me in a minute, and then we'll go through a few of those log lines that we didn't cover. What else in this video? I'll be looking at a few topics that are coming up in the next videos. I launched a poll on the Immersion Screenwriting Facebook page. We're going to have a look in a minute what the results of that poll. And then finally, I'll have a bonus for you all, and that may help with some of the questions you asked me on Facebook. So let's have a look. So first of all, let's have a look at those topics. The most popular one, and I'm not surprised, what to do with a finished screenplay. The immediate answer, rewrite it, because it isn't finished. But we'll get to the detail of that. Next, logline to outline, 2-act structure, rewriting a first draft, archetypes, dialogue, loglines, as if we don't do those enough yet, never enough loglines. NPR, that's the midpoint reversal, and sequences, and finally flashbacks. So yes, I will cover all those in upcoming videos, so please stay tuned. If there's a topic that you would like me to address that's not on this list, either join the Immersion Screenwriting Facebook group or just put your request down below in the comments. Now, here's the bonus I have for you. And we'll have a look at that. Oh, you can't see it yet, can you? There it is. We'll have a look at that after the video with Near. So we're going to Near Shelter. That's a pre-recorded video. And we'll have a look at a few of the log lines that you guys sent to us. We have a few log lines by a writer called Music, 1358. There's two here that are very short. Now, that doesn't mean that we can address them very quickly. We'll see how it goes. Here's the first one. After an accident, a young boy begins to hear his cat talking to him, telling him to kill.
Bom, bom, bom.
Music 1358. Please read our logline guidelines. Go to the top of the page on the website, logline.it, our formula. And I know it's a formula, and you may not like that word, but it doesn't mean that that's going to be the logline you're going to send out, but it will be the foundation. Use this formula as a foundation for your first draft, and you will not come across the kind of criticism that you're going to hear from us right now. What we have here is lack of character, we have a strong event, and we have no action. Okay? So what that means in traditional screenwriting terminology, we have a very poorly developed main character. We have a potential interesting, inciting incident, but we have no second act. And the second act in a feature film is all the movie is about. It's 45 minutes to an hour. So here we have a young boy that doesn't say much. That's very generic. Then we have this major event where the cat starts talking to him after an accident. That's interesting. That's a potential inciting incident, telling him to kill. But then what's he going to do? So we need to see what is going to happen for most of the time in this film. And if you look at good log lines, you'll see they promise a certain action for this second act, so that we can see the path the main character will take to achieve the goal they have. Near, your take?
Yeah, I think there's certain things here that obviously, I mean, it's as simple as that. And it's, in my mind, I hate to repeat, but there's a disdain towards formula. And like you suggested, go check the formula. And I think that it may be a bad tab that we've got there, that word formula, because it just puts people off for whatever reason. But formula doesn't mean it's formulaic. In other words, it just gives you the conventions of a log line and as a tool to use when you come to structure your concepts, whether for pitching or writing. Otherwise, you can make it crazy and original and fantastic a story using the details of the story. And that's where it does not become formulaic. That's just one thing which I think is worth noting. Otherwise, this really is a Dr. Dolittle meets David Chapman. the guy who killed John Lennon, by the way. It's sort of one of those very out there concepts. And I think you've got something there. I genuinely do. I think if it could almost be, you labeled it as a horror. I could see this as a comedy as well. Easily see it as a comedy.
You know, but if we're talking story, because I was purely looking at the structure of the logline, but if we're talking story, I think we have a point of view issue. Because in horror, usually we have the point of view of a potential victim. So we rarely have the point of view of the nemesis, of the villain, the shadow. So here, if the boy is going to kill, who's going to be the target? And who's going to be the point of view of the film? I don't think you can make a boy who's having major mental health issues the protagonist of your film.
I don't know about that. Yes, don't get me wrong. Most cases, main characters with mental health issues it's not recommended. They're very difficult to write, and like you said, there's obvious things happening. I think in this instance, he knows killing is wrong, so he knows right from wrong, but he keeps having this nagging voice in his mind. And if we have him fighting this urge, fighting his mental issue, it could actually be quite a powerful thing,
in the hands of a skilled writer, yes.
In the hands of a very skilled writer, this would work. I could see this working. But again, as a first-time writer, somebody unproduced, I would stay away from this. It is very difficult to pull off well. It has a lot of potential in it, but you do need that level of skill and, if anything, gravitas to be able to pitch it successfully.
Music 1358. We're going to quickly look at your next logline as well. And it strikes me that both of these are the type of loglines we find in IMDb or in the newspaper. They're actually teasing the film rather than promising that you have a valid story concept that will deliver the goods and that satisfies a producer or an executive to read the synopsis or the script. Here's the next logline. After his wife is murdered, a brilliant scientist travels back in time to save her. But at what cost? So it's vague. It's very generic. I don't think this brings anything original to the table in terms of time travel. And this question at the end of the logline, we don't do that in development loglines. When you're still trying to convince the professionals in the industry that you can tell stories and have enough material or material of a nature that can sustain a screen story, you're not teasing yet in the way you will do when the movie is finished. So rather than making the logline short and mysterious and interesting, intriguing, give us the details. Be as specific as you can possibly be. So character, a brilliant scientist. We don't have any sort of potential character journey. After his wife is murdered, I can dig up probably 1,000 movies if I have IMDb on my side, and he's going to save her. Well, I feel this is formula. Speaking of formula, this is it. This was a subplot in Back to the Future. This wasn't even the main plot of Back to the Future. When we think about it, right? You go back. So beef it up, make it specific, make it original, give it your own voice, add elements that we've never seen before, and make this brilliant scientist an interesting character. Brilliant scientist is a boring scientist.
And I'd say there's another problem here that the fundamental conflict isn't made clear. He's going to travel back in time. Great. He's going to save her. Awesome. But what's going to stop him? Who's going to get in his way? You know, there's no clear obstacle for him to overcome. So, and that's, for me, is what's completely, maybe that's what you need to make this bigger, beefier, and more interesting and more original.
And that's what he leaves, or she leaves unmentioned, vague. At what cost? There's obviously going to be obstacles and negative stakes. But yeah, we should not be guessing.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
One more for this session here.
Yeah, let's go.
Shiz, based on actual events, guilty of accidentally killing a black postal worker or tobacco salesman, politically awakens after his acquittal by a white court in apartheid South Africa and joins a resistance group only to be caught, tortured, and exiled for planning a terrorist attack against the regime.
I just so happen to have met Shiz, by the way, and talk about this very concept in the Sydney Screenwriters Meetup.
So, can you summarize what your advice was?
Firstly, this is based on true events. Definitely have to take liberties with what actually the events were and how they're described to make it work better for the screen. First and foremost. And the second thing is guilty of accidentally killing a black postal worker. And again, my biggest comment here was that the inciting incident for this person was realizing how corrupt the system was in the apartheid. So he's describing him being guilty as the inciting incident. But it's not. Then he tries to describe the awakens after his acquittal as his inciting incident, which in my mind is. But unfortunately, there's one other big incident where he accidentally kills a black postal worker. So that trumps anything that comes after it. So he needs to use that accident in which he killed someone as the inciting incident, because that's the thing that sparked off this whole sequence of events.
Now, I totally agree with you that in order to make this more dramatic, there may be, we need some dramatic license, because in traditional storytelling, the inciting incident itself cannot immediately cause an awakening.
Yeah.
The awakening comes through the actions in the second act.
Yeah.
The inciting incident is the result of the flaw, the problematic worldview of the character, and that then triggers the long chain of events and actions that will ultimately lead to the awakening. But the way it's written here, it happens just too quickly.
So in my mind, what would have helped this, and kind of this is what I told Chiz when I met him on the day, it would be really good if he was a member of the apartheid, if he was a racist himself. In other words, the main character was a racist himself. And as a result of being a racist, he caused the accidental death. Somehow, I can't now come up with a mechanism by which to do that, but if somehow his racism was responsible for this death, then we know that he's faced with the courts, and he realizes that the courts are completely corrupt, and this sort of, like you said, process of awakening comes in later in the story.
Yeah, because as a result of the being caught, tortured, and exiled, and that makes absolute sense, because otherwise these two stories wouldn't even be connected.
Yeah, exactly.
They would be totally unrelated, and you can connect them by having this transformational journey bridge them. Look, we've just resolved this problem. Yeah, it's going to be a great movie now.
I think it's got really good potential. Like, seriously, this sounds like an interesting story. I'd love to see it. Yeah.
Awesome. You see, guys, you throw your loglines at us and we make them blockbusters. That's how it works.
That's it. All we ask for is 20% of the proceeds thereof.
Thanks, Nir. So I hope that was useful. Maybe one of the loglines was yours. Now let's have a look at that bonus I promised you. There it is again, the Writer's Development Kit. Now this is a document I wrote a few years back to clarify something about outlines and the various documents you use when you're developing a screenplay. So in this ebook, I cover logline, synopsis, step outline, and treatment. And I'll tell you when they are used and also how you write them. There are also a few examples. There's an example of a synopsis there that happens to be the Hurt Locker. That's how long ago it was. And we talk about step outline. So there you go. The link to this document is below in the comments, or not in the comments, in the information about this video. Just click and download, all for free. All right, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I trust you did, so give us a like. But you make me even happier if you subscribe to the channel, stay loyal, support us, and I'll do whatever I can to make these videos better and better. All right, thanks for watching today and hoping to see you next time.